Hello and good day to all friends. This is Mojtaba Rasti from the Thales team, and today is October 12th, 2025. I'm here with you to analyze Bitcoin using the Thales Market Screener software. Please note that these analyses are for educational and informational purposes only, and if you use them to take positions in the market, the responsibility for any profit or loss is entirely your own. In the 4-hour time frame, as always, to summarize, compared to yesterday, our outlook hasn't really changed. We're still waiting for this upward move. Now, we can bring it here and look at it this way. We've made another low, so we can wait for it like this, even if it comes down further, maybe even down to 107, as the chart suggests. We're waiting for this upward move, and in the 1-hour time frame, you can see that now a descending wedge pattern has formed. And here, this move broke through the upper edge and also took out this high. So basically, we have a low, then a lower low, a lower high, then another lower low, and again a lower high. And again, there was almost another lower low. And here, this move took out the previous highs and showed signs of a change in this short-term, minor trend. Now, the RSI is also showing, look here, in the 1-hour time frame, there was a divergence between the price and the RSI, and this divergence is a bullish one that's doing its job here. So, we definitely expect that this positive divergence will lead the price to move upward, and maybe around 115 to 114. It will fill this small gap here, the candlestick gap, and then probably we'll see another move downward. This is the scenario we can probably consider. If you look at the 4-hour chart, friends, we've had a normal corrective trend since the all-time high we hit. Look, if you connect this trend, now we can even consider the bodies of the candles. Bring it down to the bodies and place it there. And draw a trend line like this. We had this here. This drop broke the trend line, broke it, meaning it deviated from the standard. We kept reacting to this descending trend line, but here we saw an illogical and non-technical reaction, an emotional response. This means it needs to return inside this trend, in a way. This is part of our reasoning for the price going up, that we come back and make up for this strange, fake breakout. That's why the price could even. There are even some signs and reasons you can find that the price might come up to this upper zone. In fact, this upper zone itself is a reason. Yesterday, we identified this zone for today. You see, it could even go up to 118. So, we could see a move upward and then downward. Of course, there's also the possibility that the price can't get above this ascending trend line. This is the lower edge of our ascending wedge, and can't get back inside, and instead drops from right here. That's also a scenario, but for now, we're focusing on the other one. We'll stick with this reasoning and wait to see what happens. Let's see what kind of conditions we might witness in the future. Let's go to the market screener and see what's there. What can we gather from the market screener? Let me tidy this up a bit. And let's zone it. Alright, let's reset the screener filters to 0. From today, right up until this very hour, for the upcoming October 13th expiration, a substantial 1,883 Bitcoin have been refreshed for tomorrow's trading. Actually, break time equals 0.5s/. A trade has been executed. And let's see the result. Yes, the result, as shown by our red curve, is actually indicating a downward trend, heading lower. It's aiming for below 109,500. If we turn on the delta, you'll see that yes, the movement is also in favor of a downward move for tomorrow. Meaning, from where we are now, we're expected to go lower. If I turn on the gamma, you'll see our long gamma for our money is at 110,200, up to 110,200. Now it's even lower, down to 108 and even 107. On the upside, the ceiling starts from 114. Around 114 to 115 is where the ceiling begins, where the delta decreases and we're facing call selling, with the key point for the money at 118. That means the average trades at the ceiling are around 118. If we move forward and look at the trades, you can see from the chart that as we go along, the downward shape becomes even more pronounced. Yes, it completely takes on a downward form for tomorrow. This is also the process database. And in the process database, if I turn this off to make it simpler, you can see that from where we are now, with the price decrease, the delta is decreasing. Down to 107, the delta is decreasing. And if we want to go higher, at most up to this peak, the delta is 114. Let's just round it up and say 115, 114, 115. Its peak is right here, 117, where we actually have a bullish peak. On the downside, down to 107, and from 107, the selling of puts starts again, and a perspective. You can see a sort of floor forming here. Moving forward, in the process database, although with not much volume in these latest trades, we see a bullish outlook up to around 115. If we go further, it's still the same. Yes, this bullish outlook is somewhat present in the process database. Now, let's move on to drawing the zones and the indicator and continue. Here, you can see the confrontation between buyers and sellers. Our upper point is 115,600, and at the upper agreement profit, and our lower agreement is 108,900, with a very slight profit just above the break-even. The upper zone, the agreement zone, means our buyer wants above 115,100, and our seller actually wants below 116,200. So above 116,300 is not wanted, and it's the same on the downside. The lower agreement zone is small as well. We won't mention the exact numbers because they're very minor. The important point is this upper area, which has both a resistance zone and a profit-taking area above it, so we can still expect that this upper move might actually happen. Let's go ahead and enter these points and continue. Alright friends, pay attention. These are the updated zones for tomorrow, which are actually the same as the indicator bands. You can see that the downward pressure and momentum have decreased a bit, meaning our ceiling, which had almost stopped, its downward movement has stopped, and our floor's downward slope has also decreased. It's come down to 108,900 and the slope has lessened. So, as we said, we can expect a possible upward reversal from right here. This upward reversal has started from this very doji. However, this red candle here needs to find support and form another high, preferably moving toward filling the gap of this candle, so that a healthy trend can form. After that, we might move downward again, which seems more likely. Let's go ahead and draw the zones and continue. Now you can see the zones as well. The movement of our lower zone downward with this recent move has been very slight, and our lower zone has clearly come down, but with less momentum, right where we roughly marked with the arrow for filling this gap. That's become our upper ceiling. The same trend seems likely. The upper zone is 115 to 116,200, the middle zone is 111 to 112, and the lower zone is a line, 108,800 to 108,900. Both zones are areas of agreement, but the upper one actually has a wider range. And now maybe we can say that, in a way, the excitement is more toward that area. Okay, let's go back and see what difference we get if we switch the database to process data. Looking at the process data, the bullish situation is actually shown even better. This part has gone a bit below and is in a loss. And up here, around 116, it shows the potential bullish situation more clearly. Let's remove this, like this, and as for delta gamma, as we mentioned, right now we're heading downward with this gamma. At 110 and 300, there's a gamma short for the 110 micro, and at 300, right around here, we have a gamma long for the upper micro at 118 and 500. Here. This spot, after this zone, can also be a target. Other important points upside, a convergence of gamma, delta, and the red curve at 114. Here, a convergence with the red curve, delta, and the start of the ascending phase at 115.500. Then we reach this gamma at 121.500 after the intersection of gamma and delta, and when the red curve enters the lost zone. Then there's this intersection at 126.700, which for now is not a concern. Here, the red curve enters the profit zone at 99.5. On the downside, almost the end of the delta's ascending phase is at 107.300, and this intersection at 103.500. Keep 98, or rather 97.98 in mind, but we're not dealing with it now. Still, 97.98 is a scary number, since we've already gone down to 100, 102, so we should at least keep an eye on it. These are our important points. Let's wrap this up. That's done. Now, let's go and take a look at the futures. If we add the 14th, look, if we add the 14th. Four. The 14th, look here, your delta goes up to 102, but when we add this, you see our endpoint becomes 106. That means tomorrow, the downward curve also pulls itself in, moving lower, but it doesn't drop as sharply as before. With the 14th of October in mind, from 105 or 106, our put selling starts again, and we see a bottom. So here, in this section, we can move down. You see, the price drop is met with a decrease in delta, and there's still room for movement. Call selling. The red curve also fluctuates between 108 and 122, meaning here too, it's closer to the lower end at 108 in the future. So, the chance of seeing 108 in the coming days is pretty high. Keep this point in mind. Let's take a look at October 17th. Today's trades for October 17th. Again, you see, we have a floor at 104 to 102. Of course, when I say floor, we're actually right at the floor now, between the floor and the ceiling. So if we move down from here, our delta increases, meaning selling puts down to 102. If we move up, our delta decreases, meaning selling calls up to 116 or 117. So right now, we're taking a weekly perspective in this range. It seems like we're definitely going to see 107, or maybe even a bit lower. You see, here again we have this volatility and, in fact, this short strangle setup. Look, if we zoom in, this is the picture. Look, the floor is 104, the ceiling is 113. If we're a bit lenient, 114. So, since we're close to that ceiling right now, and that 107 we mentioned would be the peak of this profit here, for the end of the week, we're saying again that we'll probably see another dip, and then likely move upward. Trade details. 1,883,903. Out of this number, 417 are call buys and 485 are put buys. The difference is actually pretty small, but there are more put buys. So, where are we headed now? If we count from now, it's been about 18 hours. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 16 hours, so about 3 hours around here. Basically, from right here, from this very bottom, from this red candle, the trades started coming in. Our movement is aligning more with the call buys, and we're getting close to that. Look, our call is aiming for above 113, but it's very possible that, by calculation, we don't necessarily go up to 115 or 114. Around 113 is likely. It sees profit in moving upward, and right now we're heading toward that level. What's expected, though, is probably the realization of the puts, which are targeting below 109,700, below this very bottom you see here. So, how are the sellers positioned? There are 979 sellers, 556 of them are calls, and 424 are puts. The calls are currently in play, actually, and the ceiling for the calls is at 113 and 120. Let's say 113,500 is the level to consider as the ceiling that's been observed. As for the puts, they're at 109. And again, 300 downwards. These are waiting to be realized. So, as you can see, right now this move is happening suddenly, so here the upward movement, at best, could reach that ceiling of 116, and then a reversal and hitting that floor of 109 and 700 or so could be our scenario. Okay, let's put these back. We've also reviewed the detailed trades, and now let's move on. The process database is 933 to 933, just so we're sure. For now, we don't have any significant negative open interest. So what should we do? All right. Size. 10 Bitcoin and above, 28 trades. 15 Bitcoin and above, 20 trades. We can look at these to see what's going on. The curve doesn't really change much. Look, right now, according to these large trades, we're at the top. We've reached the peak. Delta just needs to play. Now, assume there's a spot for them to play, and the price might go to 114,150. Then, as price drops, delta decreases, so it's supported. Now, we don't have block trades, but we do have a block here, 50 Bitcoin, a short put at 100,000. Here, there's a 100 Bitcoin short call at 118,000. 118,000 is resistance. There's a base of 25, 2, 3 for block trades, blocks of 25 Bitcoin short calls for 118. So that's 200 Bitcoin, plus the previous 100, making it 300 Bitcoin, seeing 118 as the ceiling. It's possible we might see a bit higher, like 116. Here, we have two blocks of 30 Bitcoin, again short puts at 100,000. So, we can still interpret the same strategy, the scenario. Regarding liquidity, you're seeing the levels above and below. Over the past 24 hours, it's hard to say which side has more, but the liquidity below, starting from 110,000, is closer to the current price. At this hour, the price is moving upward, aiming to break through the upper liquidity, starting from 112,400. Let's switch to the 48-hour view. It's clearer here on the 48-hour chart. You can see a sharp move here. This candle shows it clearly, where it went for our upper liquidity. Here, the concentration and intensity are more apparent, showing that we're gathering momentum. You can see there's relatively clear liquidity up to 114,200, and after that, it drops down to 110. So that's what we're currently waiting for. An upward move, probably up to 115 to 116, and then likely a move downward to hit 109,500 and then go for 107,800, unless this bullish move, as you can see, brings us back into this bullish range. Unless it comes back and supports this level on the return, meaning, when it comes back, it holds around 112,500 as support, keeps it there, and acts like it did here, supporting and sending it back up, pushing it back into this range we have. But with the current level of fear in the market, we think the probability of a continued move downward is higher. Thanks for your attention, and I hope this has truly been helpful.